Hey guys, Ryan Dement from Chasing Happiness Podcast. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today on the podcast, we have Sam Wilson. He's the founder of Bricken Investment Group. He's got a lot of stuff going on. He's got his own podcast, but he's got a diverse background in something I really like is real estate. So we're going to talk about that and a few other topics with Sam. So Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Ryan, for having me. I certainly appreciate it. It's great to be here.
You're more than welcome. Thank you for the wait. I'm looking forward to the conversation. Our little bit of a pre-call and talk was already interactive already, and I can tell this is going to be an exciting conversation. So let's jump in. Who is Sam Wilson?
Man, who is I don't know. It's like when people ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out one of these days. But who am I? I'm a guy that. Brian, can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. Hey, for some reason the screen here kicked off on your end, so I can't see anymore. But that's all right. I'm a guy that I grew up in the Midwest. Grew up pretty poor, but I had the important things in life. I had a great family. We had a great work ethic, and we didn't take handouts. And it's one of those things that I would not trade that upbringing for anything. So, and to this day, I wouldn't trade it for anything. I got 5 siblings. Like I said, big family, no money. And nobody was really highly educated. Actually, my siblings and I were some of the first to go to college in our family. I look back at my grandfather. I think he graduated from 6th grade. And then,
Wow.
my parents were not college educated, and but we did have, like I said, a work ethic and a great family. And so just grew up working with my hands, working in the trades, working hard. And that's kind of what I knew, until the age of about 30. We owned our own businesses, just because that's what we knew to do, was to go out and work, and then grew our own businesses, ended up selling a company off, and fell next into real estate. But that was, gosh, 11 years ago now, so I won't go too much into all those rabbit holes. But that really brings me to today. It's just a hardworking guy, live in Memphis, Tennessee now. My wife, 3 kids. Yeah, I can't complain. Life has been really, really good to me, and it's something I don't take for granted.
So I love the background in where you're coming from, and that's just a solid base to work with. How was that growing up? I mean, when you have that big of a family, and as you said, you didn't have a lot of money. I mean, how did you? I call it shucking and jiving in life. I mean, because that's really what you want to do, and I mean, it sets you probably up very well to be an entrepreneur, because that's what we have to do. I mean, how did that play into what you're doing today?
Man, it has its blessings and its curses. I will say that. I mean, growing up, it was funny. I was talking. My wife and I were writing today's newsletter for the Brick and Investor Club, and it was like, she's like, "Hey, when did you start your entrepreneurial journey?" Because my wife is also my editor for that newsletter. For those of you that now know my secret sauce, and I said, yeah, she said 5. I said, no, it's probably about 7. Because we learned how to save money, and I'd count my quarters, my nickels, and I'd stack them all up. But my older brother was not that great with money. And so in 1st grade, I became his financier. I would finance the boxes of candy. He would take it to school and sell it to his 2nd grade classmates, and we would split the profits. That's where I started, and that's fine and all. I mean, I have cut up pallets in my life and sold them roadside. We used to pull catalpa worms off the trees and sell them. Hey, it was back in the 80s, early 80s. Hey, catalpa worms for sale, 25 cents a dozen. Man, we would pick up hubcaps in the ditches and chain them up to the pillar at the end of the driveway, and sell them for $5 a piece because people would hit potholes and their hubcaps would come off. So a lot of those things are great, but they're not scalable, and they are also one of the things that I've really trying to get away from right now in my life, which is trading time for money. It's
Mm,
something that you can, that hustle will only take you so far. And
yes.
I wouldn't trade, again, I wouldn't trade that base, but it's also something that's so deeply ingrained in who I am that I have to fight it at times, where it's like, the whole idea, delegate to elevate. Well,
Yeah.
that works to a degree. And then there's also times where it's like, yeah, this is categorically a horrible use of my time, but for some reason I keep finding myself doing it. So it's, yeah, I would say so. Yes, it set me up very well, but also, comes every blessing has its curses, I guess. So that's kind of what I think about that.
So right into it, trading, time in really balancing that out. When you first started, what was okay, after you're growing up, you're doing your first entrepreneurial deal with your brother. Where did things progress? Because I'm going to go back to time, but I wanted to kind of see you're doing
Yeah.
that. But what was the next leap off point for you in that journey?
It's a great question. So I have an older brother he's my oldest brother. There's five boys and one girl. And my oldest brother's 12 years older than me, but he and I were always really close. We just kind of had similar ways of thinking and interest, and and we're all very close, but he and I were very much alike. And so I began working with him right out of high school. He
Mm,
owned a flooring company. I went to work for him. I was out sanding hardwood floors, installing hardwood floors, doing all that for a couple of years. And he said, "Hey, man, let's open a retail store. We'll open a flooring company." And not open a flooring, we already had a flooring company. We're going to take it to the next level and open a retail store. That business exploded. I mean, we quadrupled in size in 1 year. And so here I am now at the age of 21 telling guys twice my age what to do. I mean, we couldn't hire fast enough. Of course, this was in '03, which everybody knows kind of the progression of the
yeah.
economy. '03 was great, man. We were running hot and heavy. '04, we got 30 something guys working for us. We got, the crews just running everywhere. It was crazy. It's also when I went bald. I literally lost, for those of you who are watching, I can grow a heck of a beard, but I couldn't grow head hair if I tried. I lost all my hair at age 23 in that business. Just in 1 year, it all fell out from stress and never
Wow.
came back. Yeah, it's great. We were working crazy. I mean, I remember sleeping in my office, at night, you just like, hey, whatever, we'll just work till midnight, sleep till 5 and get up, put the coffee pot on and go back to it because crews are showing up at 6 to get loaded up and head out the door. Man, again, going back to trading time for money, but we built that business up. And about age 25, there was a side of that business that wasn't very well run. We said, hey, Sam, why don't you buy that out? Buy it for my brother. I'll take that, run as my own company. I mean, it was all a good thing for everybody. So I bought that at 25. And then '08 happened. I mean, so, shortly a year after I bought that business, '08 happened, everything, the world stopped. We went from 30 guys down to one. Had to put my work boots back on and my jeans back on and go back out in the field and figure out, traded in my dress clothes again for work clothes. And it was just fine. It was fine. It got us through. But yeah, so I ran that company until I was 30 and then had built that business back up and sold it in 2012 for a nice profit at the time. And yeah, moved on from the flooring business.
Okay. Wow. I mean, I can still remember the day I was living in Vegas at the time when all that happened. And it kind of started myself on a different journey. I was like, I was living on the west side of the valley and all these houses were being foreclosed on and they were
Yeah.
just sitting there empty. And these people were ransacking them for their copper and everything else. And I'm like, who the hell's controlling all this?
Right.
Where's that all going?
Right.
And out of dumb luck, I was walking by a house and there was a guy that at the time was a realtor, but he was into mortgages. And I'm like, you're a realtor that's into mortgages. Tell me more. And he
Right.
goes, do you know what defaulted mortgages are? I'm like, well, yeah, I'm in collections. I do all that type of stuff. It's defaulted. It hasn't, it's gone. It hasn't been paid. He goes, no, it's even bigger. And then he starts talking about mortgage-backed securities, default swaps, and I'm like, it's all over my head at that time, and I'm like, sign me up. I
Mm-hmm.
want to figure that out, and that kind of just started a whole process of buying defaulted mortgages for pennies on the dollar and trying to figure out what you could actually do with them. But that was kind of that turning point of how do I describe that? It was like my aha moment that I
Right.
could do something more than what I was doing. Cause I was in corporate America running call
Mm.
center, collection agencies, underwriting stuff, whatever. And I knew I had to get out and do something different. But kind of relating back to that was you had that aha moment and you were able to come back into that world. And how he started me, we went door knocking. And I was like, oh my God, I'm back to my teenage years because I
Right.
started in door knocking for payday loans and I was knocking on people's door when they were past due. I'm like, this brings me back because these people were, or had the less pendants. I mean, they were already going through the foreclosure process. They didn't want to talk to anybody. But then once we had a conversation with them, there was a whole different perspective to bring to them that we could potentially help them. That's when I learned what a workout was, interest only. I mean, there were so many things you could do, but I felt like I was going back in time. and it just changed my life about, again, connecting with people, and we're gonna go through that. Sorry, long-winded, but it's
No,
just
no, it's good.
you spurred a lot of things out of that conversation of that in our journey, we find these moments that we can basically bounce off of and springboard forward.
Yep.
You had one of those, and you were
Yeah.
able to put that back on and change that, and I'm guessing your next jump was even bigger, so where does that take you?
Yeah, so we sold that company in 2012, and as you can imagine, now that you know my kind of family's educational background, you know our upbringing, you know what I've done professionally. I'm 30. I'm a male with no work experience outside of working for myself and for my brother. Guess what that makes me?
Unemployable.
Categorically,
Yes.
yes, unemployable. Like, I couldn't get a j I mean, I could get a job at, like, Wendy's or Lowe's or somewhere like that, which is fine, those jobs are good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but, again, going back to the trading time for money, I already understood how to run a business, I already understood how to employ people, and I was like, "You know what? I can't get a job somewhere." I'd had no idea, but I lacked a skill set. I will say that too, other than working in the trades and knowing the trades, and not again, I still work with the trades every day. I mean, shoot, I was meeting with crews at one of our job sites this morning. Um, Still, and I really highly respect the people that work hard in the trades. I mean, but it's also one of those
Mhm.
things where I knew I was smarter, or I wanted to at least think I was smarter than what my brain was getting used for. And so it's like, okay, there's more out here to do. I just didn't know what it was. So I floundered. So now I have the two things that most people want in life, which is I had money in the bank, more money than I had ever had before in my life,
Mhm.
and I had time on my hands, which, for me, coming from the poor man's background, was just panic. I panicked that year. It was the worst year of my life. It was 2012 going to 2013 because I didn't know what to do next. I'm now freshly married. I'm like, oh crud! Like, I've got to, that's that starvation mentality. Like, I've got to keep storing more food because or more money, because if I'm not, then we're all going to go broke. And if we go broke and go back to my child, like, no, we don't. We couldn't afford squat. Like,
Yeah.
I knew in third grade when I got a box of hand-me-down underwear from the neighbor that had streaks in it that I'm like, you know what? We're poor, but I'm not this poor. I was so mad. I'm still mad about it, probably. It's like, so I just didn't want to go back to that, right? So you have those kind of visceral feelings. Um, so unemployable. So I spent a year floundering. I mean, I tried everything. We won't go into all those rabbit holes, but I just kept trying stuff because I had money and time, which was kind of stupid. I should have just relaxed. I should have said, all right, slow down. Slow down, dude. We're going to methodically think through this. We'll make a next step that makes sense. Enjoy the time with your wife. I mean, you could have lived for several years and not worked. Just slow down. That's and that's kind of where I wound up in 2020, because we wound up with a similar scenario where the business we were in just dried up completely. I just kind of looked at my wife. I'm like, we got money and time. It's okay. I've been here before. Chill out. But that said, I always say, "Is the good Lord have mercy on an idiot?" Knowing the trades, I started looking at foreclosures.
Mhm.
I was in a little town in Middle Tennessee, and one day I was just looking at foreclosure auctions. I saw a house coming up, and I'm like, "Oh, that's interesting." I'm like, "Oh, that's today. Oh, that's in 2 hours." So I drove around the corner, I found my way into the house because it was vacant and knee deep in trash. I walked through it, and I'm, having a background in the trades, and I'm like, "Oh, this is a great buy." So I went to the auction, and 2 hours later, I owned a house. We made a pile of money on that house, and I said, "Well, shoot, if we did it once, I can do it again." And so we just kept doing it. And I mean, of course, that's been 11 years now of every iteration in the real estate space I think a person could go through, that I've tried. And that's what brings us really to today is, I mean, we're strictly focused on commercial real estate and very specific asset classes right now. But yeah, it's been a wild ride in the real estate business, and I have really no intent of ever kind of looking elsewhere. I think this is what I'm gonna do for the duration.
So when you say commercial, are you multifamily? I think your bio said also laundry and so forth, so
This is goes back to the poor man's mentality, Ryan, in that you always wonder if the grass is greener. So for better or for worse, more than likely for worse, I have tried it all. So we presently in our portfolio have multifamily, we have storage, we have land, we have 3 RV resorts, and 4 laundromats. Laundry is
Nice.
actually, yeah. So laundry is funny because having gone through all of those various commercial real estate asset classes and still owning and enjoying the ones that we're in, laundry is my favorite, like by far. I know it sounds crazy, but it is.
So when
Um,
you say laundry, just so everyone understands, we level set, laundry mats?
Yes, laundry mats. I like to call them laundry facilities. A common, or commonly the listener would understand what a laundromat is. I call them laundry
Okay.
facilities because we don't just serve. It's not just an unattended, laundromat where somebody walks in and feels like they're about to get stabbed or catch a disease. It's like an actually really nice store with, brand new equipment and brand new lights and their staff on hand. You get greeted when you walked in the door. I mean, we've had more people walk in and be like, "Whoa, I have never been in a laundromat like this." And so we really pride ourselves on bringing or some really cool product to market in those stores. And I call them facilities because we serve not just the walk-in self-serve customer, but then we also do a very robust drop-off business, and then also have a delivery service as well, where you can order laundry from your phone, and we'll come pick it up at your door and wash, dry, and fold it and send it back.
That's
So I call it
cool.
a laundry facility. So there's a lot of moving parts there outside of the traditional, 1980s walk in a dirty laundromat situation.
That is, definitely different, and I like that. I think that's quite cool, but the question, so let's back into time and so forth. You've had to scale it over time. Can we kinda share some of your wins in how you did that? Because I know people struggle with time, and it's our most valuable asset. How do we stop trading, time, for money and get that time back in our lives?
That's an interesting question, and one I'm presently wrestling with. Because anytime I think I'm just trying not to use the word time, but any of us can face that situation where we have to just get it done. And
Yeah,
again, that goes back to what I said in the beginning. Like, I oftentimes will struggle with doing it myself because it's fast and easier, and we can just keep the ball moving forward. I think all of us at some point are rolling that stone uphill, I'll call it, in the early
mhm,
stages, and it's a challenge. It's a challenge because you got to have some seed capital to go out and start your own venture. You got to have some intellectual capital, some time capital to go out and invest and start building something that's your own. I think if you're completely locked into up to your eyeballs in debt, and you have to work every day in order to service that debt, it's going to be tough to get out of that rat race. I mean, I think if you play the Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki, that's a
mhm.
great, just simple way of looking at and going, oh wait, once you exit the rat race, once you get that ability to go out and then invest. What does Robert Kiyosaki say, that the poor and middle class trade money for time, but the how does it, something like that, but the wealthy, how some of the effective, their money makes them money, but the wealthy or the poor and middle class, their time makes them money. And so you got to
Yes.
get out of that time making you money to that money making you money position. And I think that's a challenge. It's a challenge for me even right now because we're scaling the laundry business. And it's like I need more people more than I even need money, because I find myself consistently just going, my gosh, like I'm up all the time at 3 a.m. going, how do I bring on the right team members to offload these tasks so that we can then back to the delegate and elevate thing. And that's a process. It's a process. But so I think just shifting your mindset in the beginning for that, saying, what can I do today to invest and get a return on that investment, whatever it is. I mean, it could be starting your own business. It could be, investing in other people's businesses. It could be even in a small way. What does that look like? So I think just shifting your mindset on that and really getting out of the trading time for money and try to find a way to get your return on your money is probably the first step in that.
So I've gotta ask Captain Obvious question because people are gonna say this is, if I don't have money, how do I get out of that rat race?
Great question. That's a great question. I like that a lot. Find a way to add value to somebody else that you want to learn from, whatever that
Love
means
it.
to you. So
Love it.
here's what I did in 2018. There was a guy that was in the parking business. I loved parking, and this is the business I talked about earlier that really got crushed. And parking's back. Parking does really well. Most of you don't think about parking. They're listening to this. You're probably like scratching your head going, parking? Yeah, it's a great business. I loved it. Like, it was awesome. Like, we would buy surface lots in, central business districts, and it's like, we'd get an ACH into our account once a month from the operator. And the worst thing that can happen is the thing floods. What are we going to do? We're going to wait for the water to go down. It's
Yeah.
asphalt. Like you have almost, no risk other than maybe, a murder happening on the lot. And then you got your insurance to deal with. But it's like outside of that, it's pretty low risk and great returns. And I was like, golly, we need to buy these assets. But I didn't understand the business. And so I went to him and I said, man, I want to learn the parking business. Like, this is really cool. How do you find the assets? How do you identify them? How do we make offers? Who do we make offers to? What's the multiple? What's this business like? But I didn't have capital, but I did have time. And I said, what's one way? So I flew, to his home city and met with him and said, how do I add value to you? What can I do to you to improve your business or to make you more money? He said, well, here's what you can do. You can go out and find assets for me. Okay, well, let's go walk a city. Go show me how. So we went out and we walked the city. He showed me how to find assets. And so I just started feeding stuff to him. Hey, John, here's this. Here's this. Here's this. What do you think? What do you think about this? We made great money. It was awesome. I did something of value to him and he taught me the business along the way. So that's just one idea.
Did he cut you in on any of those deals?
Oh yeah, we had it figured out. He said, look, we'll just split them down the middle. He's like, you find
That's
them. He said, you
that's
find
a
them, bring them to me. We'll take them down. We'll split them down the middle. Sounds great.
that is a sweetheart of a deal, to be honest.
Well, for
So
sure. For sure. But I mean, he's getting half of something he didn't have before.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah. No, no, I agree. I'm at that. I'm kind of there on a couple things. I mean, I've been researching this for a couple months now, and I've been really trying to go after it. And I'm trying to figure out the best way I can connect with others. Is baby boomers are retiring at an alarming rate. They're the largest percentage of small business owners out there that have zero succession plans. There's something in the realm of 15 or 18 million small business owners that don't have succession plans. Their kids want nothing to do with it, whatever. And it's like, I know how to run a business.
right.
I just don't have the additional capital to be able to go acquire something for a couple $1,000,000. So could I team up with somebody that has the expertise of acquiring it on the front end, and I can help them run it, for sweat equity, and then be able to break it off that way? I'm connecting with some people still working on it, but that's kind of in that same ballpark of
Right.
what, and I don't care what the business is. I might not know anything. I mean, one of the business I looked at recently is HVAC. I'm like, I live in Arizona.
Oh
You
man.
need to have air conditioning. So why not talk to some air conditioning companies and learn it from the ground up and understand what they're doing?
Right. Yeah. 100%. 100%. Or the converse to that, or the alternative to that would even be just and not to be a business broker per se, because there's a way to establish yourself as the industry thought leader in
Yeah.
that space where you assist, companies, help them establish those succession plans, help them, even if it's, hey, we're gonna establish a succession plan. You're then gonna meet with my broker X, Y, and Z. And then, you can learn all of that from the inside out. So you essentially become just a middleman helping facilitate that transition. I mean, I know there's businesses maybe out there like that, but again, the opportunity on that front is, I mean, it's unlimited. That's a space that, yes, has my interest, but not that one in particular, but just thinking through that boomer business retirement, all of those things, man. Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity there.
And then out of all that, a lot of people don't realize these business owners are willing to walk away from the business with owner financing, where they'll carry the note for you. You don't have to go through a bank. You can work on the terms. You can do a sliding scale based upon performance. I mean, there's so many different things you can do, and that didn't cost anything.
Right.
Some of these, I was talking to a guy that's doing this already, and he's acquired 3 businesses in, like, I think about 4 years or so,
Wow.
and he's come out of pocket in total $20,000, and he's got
Wow.
average seller discretionary income is about 400,000 on each business.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah, it's out there. It's certainly out there. We're having a conversation with somebody like that right now. I mean, and it's, you see, and the store we just bought, the last store we put into our laundry fund is that way. 75, tired. The business makes money. The dude is just tired of running a laundry facility. He's like,
So did he carry it on a contract or owner finance?
he didn't, because there was a bunch of real estate and stuff involved, and we wanted to be in control of it. And the prices made sense. I mean, we still bought it for, well under what it was probably worth.
Uh-huh.
But again, that's because that situation made sense for us, in particular on that one. But yeah, the opportunities there again on the owner finance side are incredible.
You just have to go out and find them. Again, we're back to that digging piece and putting that time and effort in. So
Yep.
something to kind of get into, and we'll go down this path, and we'll wrap this thing up for you, is on your journey, what would you say would be your top 3 skills you could share with the audience that got you to where you're at today, to really kind of put everything together and mesh it in a nice little picture or bow, however you wanna tie that up?
I don't know, man. It's funny to say that because I feel like I got a front row seat to my own failures. So thinking about the things I've done right is probably not my strong suit. But
But
well,
your failures are your successes.
can be, can be. I would say that through those failures, the one thing is just is a relentless. We'll use the word relentless at least twice here in this. One is grit. Like
I like it.
you just gotta keep going. Like there's not failure, yes, but failure is not an option. Who was it? There was some sales guy, a book I read back in the late 90s. He said, I'm not judged by the who was it? Tom? His name was Tom somebody. It's a quote I had memorized, but I'll try to use it here. And he said, "Yeah, I'm not judged by the number of times I fail, but by the number of times I succeed. And the number of times I succeed is in direct proportion to the number of times I fail and keep on trying." And
Yep.
so it's like you just got to have that grit to keep going. So I would say that have relentless grit. The second thing is to have a relentless thirst for knowledge, like continuously learn, man. It's funny because I was terrible in school, as you can probably imagine. I have to stand talking to you because I can't sit still. I was one of those kids. They're probably just like, okay, we can't wait to get out of here. But so I was terrible in school, but I love to learn. Like I got this list of when I have more time on my hands, when we've got our laundry business, up and humming more efficiently. I'm like, oh, I want to learn this skill and this skill and this skill. It's just one at a time, but they're fun things for me to think about, continually feeding your brain. So, if you spend too much time on YouTube, Instagram, all Facebook, whatever those things are, man, trade that in for learning a useful skill or for somehow feeding your mind good stuff. I mean, even in the bathroom, I got business books. It's like, well, I got 4 minutes here. I'm going to read a business book, and if I can get one good idea, okay, great. Just keep feeding that. So one is a relentless grit. Two is really feeding your mind, and three, I would say, is again constantly looking for ways that you can kind of elevate what it is that you're doing. And again, I'm guilty of using my time not as wisely as I should often, just in the sense that still struggle doing the things I shouldn't be doing in order to grow the business. One of our employees here recently, actually, I don't even use the word employees. I call them team members because it's what they are. So people work with me. Nobody works
Mhm.
for me. They work with me. But one of my team members said, Sam, stop. You've got to quit doing that. I'm like, you're so right. Golly, I need more of you in my life. She's like, quit it. So it was just a good reminder. And I value that. It's like, thank you. You're right. I'm using my time very poorly right now. So that's it. I would say those three things: grit, knowledge, and finding a way to get a return on your time more than a return on a return. Yeah. Anyway, I butcher. You get the idea.
Oh, no, I get it. I think those are 3 great ways, and one of the things that really resonated with me is you said in school, you didn't, do too well and so forth, but you wanted to learn. I
Yeah.
got the same problem. Is I did okay. I went to college, and I never cracked a book because I never read, and now all of a sudden, I've become this reader. My goal is to read 1 to 2 books a month.
Good for you. Good for
And
you.
it could be on anything. I mean, I'm on this kick of Vince Flynn, which is it's Mitch Rapp. It's basically he's a CIA guy, but I read business books. I'm reading self motivation books, but it's
Yep.
all of a sudden I have this thirst for reading and knowledge, and I think that's translated into, I guess that's I'm changing myself in the sense of how I present, and when I
Mm,
say present, the outer shell, because I think before it, how do I say this? Gaining more knowledge has humbled me because
mm,
it showed me how much I did not know,
yep.
and it's huge. It's a big difference in how I handle myself and how I present. And if anybody takes that away, it sounds weird, but Go learn something, go try something new and see where it takes you. It truly can change your life.
Absolutely. And that could be, going to a real estate meetup, going to some other business meetup. That could be joining a business group, that you don't feel comfortable going to. I think one thing that sticks out to me is who was the guy that founded BlackRock? Steven Schwartzman. Does
Yeah,
that sound right?
Schwartz. Yep.
Schwartz, yeah, okay. He's got a quote at the end of those books of like 20 things that he says, hey, these are the most, and I print them out and kept them around for a long time. But one of the things he says in there is to put yourself in situations you have no business belonging in. He
Oh,
said,
yeah.
he's like,
Love that.
he's like, just do that. And it's like, I felt that commonly where it's like, I don't belong here. Like y'all are doing things that I'm just an idiot in the corner, but I'm going to be the idiot in the corner gladly. So I think that's kind of same idea where it's like learn something, go put yourself in situations where you're completely uncomfortable and go, you know what? We'll see what happens with it.
And that's what you got to do, because a lot of us, like you said earlier about Instagram and social media, we're so comfortable there. Take that time and go to that meetup group or wherever you're going to go to put yourself uncomfortable. You're going to grow. I mean,
Yep.
that's just, it's sad. We could have a whole nother conversation about that, because I really preach that in my videos. I mean, one of the things, and we'll wrap this up, is in the recent months, I decided that in our real estate development business, because we're in the affordable housing space,
Mm,
and we build houses in the Midwest, and we're really in Evansville, Indiana right now, and we're building 15 brand new homes. And I'm
cool.
like, the front end of the deal when it comes to realtors and mortgages kind of sucks. Can I control some of that and help it out a little bit? And when I say sucks, is they don't have the ability, not the ability, they lack the knowledge when it comes to a first time home buyer and what options are out there. So I said, I don't want to be a realtor because that's just too much. How about let's be a loan originator? So what did I do? I went to loan originator school. And in August, I got my license, and now we're doing that. And now I'm reinventing myself on social a little bit by letting people know what I'm doing, just getting out there. And you'd be amazed how many people reach out and go, wait, I thought you're in real estate. I am in real estate, but
I
I
am.
also can originate loans.
Right. Right. Yeah. You're solving your own problems. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But that was some time trade-off, because now I'm like, I have to do this. But the company I'm with, Nexa Mortgage, is the largest broker in the nation, which will allow me to build a team. So
That's
I can
awesome.
build a team around it. Once I get the idea, I got my, my grounding and I'm ready to go, then I can start bringing people in, and then I can build that team, and then I can manage it that way to where it makes a lot more sense.
Yep. Yep. That's awesome, man. I love that. I love
It,
that. Well done.
it's just one of those things in life. So let's land this sucker. I know you got stuff to do. Where can everybody get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you?
That's a great question, Ryan. Thank you again for having me on the show today. This was a lot of fun. Just freewheeling and talking about whatever comes to our mind. So I really enjoyed this. You're a great host. Appreciate that very
Thank
much.
you.
I would say if you want to get a hold of me, we have a brand new website coming out that's all laundry focused. So if you are an
Cool.
accredited investor, the Clean Laundry Fund 1 is live. Get a hold of me. We can talk more about the Clean Laundry Fund. Go to brickettinvestmentgroup.com and you'll learn all you want to know really about us and what we do. There is a new website coming out. I don't know when this show goes live, but hopefully when it airs, you'll see that new website there. So go to Bricken. That's BRICKEN, Brick, in the letters E and N. So brickeninvestmentgroup.com. That's the best way to reach out to me. I also freely put out my cell phone number right here. I'm going to give it to you on the show because I really am old school. To be honest with you, send me an email. It'll be about a week before I get back to you because I hate email. But I do love talking on the phone. So call me anytime. Again, just maybe older school on that. But my number is 901 500 6191. That is my direct cell phone. And yes, you can call it. I have people call me off of shows like this, and I do not mind. So give me a ring on that, and I'll get back to you there. Again, 901 500 6191.
Thank you, sir, for coming on. It's been a great conversation. Love what you're doing. Love that you shared your story and your successes and your losses, but at the same time, you're growing, man. You're going places and you're doing stuff that's changing people's lives.
Awesome. Thank you again, Ryan. Certainly appreciate it.
You're more than welcome.